Hi everyone, I'm Mudit Jain. I'm ex-IPS and ex-IS. In this short video, we'll discuss 11 different approaches of diagrams for ethics paper of UPSC. As per me, one diagram is equal to zero point 0.5 marks at least, not 1 mark. And hence, if you are able to draw say 10, 15 or 20 diagrams in a GS paper, are getting edge of at least 10 or 11 marks or 15 marks in one GS paper over others. That is huge when you consider that every single mark is important, and here I am talking about edge of 10 marks per paper over others. So first diagram is on your screen, that is the hub and spoke model. I have drawn it in form of hub and spoke itself. So this is the hub and these are the spokes. And any question of section A, which basically asks you to mention the features like what are the teachings of Guru Nanak and how are they relevant today. So if I have written 3 points or 4 points, now if I have some other points in my mind, I can draw these hub and spokes. I'll write other teachings are, and I'll draw 4 spokes and write 4 words as teaching. There are questions in section A which ask for measures and all, like there are n number of laws in society and yet society is plagued with n number of social issues. Can you recommend some innovative measures? So if you have written 2 3 measures, the other measures in your mind you can draw hub and spoke and present them. Similarly, there are questions in applied ethics like what are the ethical considerations around the issues of abortions. This is one of the my prediction that I think can be asked in 2024 mains. So if you are writing 2 3 views, say views of Kant or views of any other thinker on abortion, and if you have other points in mind, then you can draw them as hubs. Now coming on to case study. So we all know we have been drawing hub and spoke diagram in stakeholders, that if there are 10 or 12 stakeholders, we'll open 10 and 12 spokes and we can occupy a decent amount of space in case studies, which is a major aspect because a case study can be solved in max 15 minutes, has to be solved in max 15 minutes if you want to manage time, and there are 4 pages to fill. So filling up pages is also important, and hub and spoke serves good purpose in that. Now, if in question number one, if in case number one, I have drawn hub and spoke diagram for stakeholders, then for the case number two, I'll use a different diagram for stakeholders, as I'll tell you in the coming minutes. And in the case study two, I'll use hub and spoke for dilemmas, so that I am not fixed with my approach. Okay, for stakeholders, I'll be drawing only the hub and spoke diagram. ऐसा नहीं है. For stakeholders, we'll have 5 6 different diagrams. Similarly, for dilemmas, we'll have different set of diagrams. And there is a case question, that is policy measures as well. So for telling the policy measures as well, you can of course draw hub and spoke diagram. Now moving on to the second diagram, that is the flow chart. So in any question wherein hub and spoke can be drawn, their flowchart can also be drawn. I have mentioned the same points here. So if in the section A first question you have drawn hub and spoke diagram, then in question 2 please draw a flowchart. Similarly, if in case number 1 you have used hub and spoke to present the stakeholders, then in case 2 try to draw the stakeholders in flowchart approach, so that there is no monotony and you are giving something new to the examiner in every answer. Similarly, if there are 6 stakeholders, you can draw a hexagon. In the center you will write stakeholder, and then on the 6 edges of the hexagon you can present 6 different stakeholders. If there are 6 steps or features or policy measures of section A or section B, then you can draw this hexagon. Similarly, if there are 5 or 7, draw the relevant figure for that. Venn diagrams are very common, like what is the difference between ethics versus law. So this portion reflects ethics, this is law, and the central portion that is common to both ethics and law can be shaded. Similarly, this diagram represents the relation between empathy, sympathy, and compassion. Empathy leads to sympathy, which leads to compassion, and hence this diagram can be drawn. There was a question in the past with respect to impartiality versus non-partisanship, and this is a classical diagram to present the relationship between the two, and hence in certain section A questions you can draw Venn diagram. Next is, that is the fifth type, is chronological diagram. So in chronological code based questions like to awaken the people, you should awaken the women. When women is on the move, the family is on the move, hence the village is on the move, the nation is on the move. There is a certain chronology. You will start with women, then you move to the family, then to the village, and then to the world. Similarly, in course of actions of case studies, you have to give a logical stepwise action. That firstly I'll do this, then I'll do this, then I'll do this, then I'll do that. So this is a course of action in a certain chronology, and that can be very easily presented in form of a chronological block diagram. Then comes tabular diagram, which we have used in our school days as well. So if there is a difference between question with respect to ethics versus law, you can write the text in paragraph or point wise form, and you can present that text in a tabular form in one word each. For ethics, one word; for law, one word in second point for ethics, then one word for law. Similarly, this diagram is very relevant in case studies as well, wherein say I have been asked to give options for the case study. So I've given three options, and then you have to evaluate those options for merits and demerits. So merits and demerits can be written in a tabular form in case studies. Then the seventh type, very much applicable for a case study, because in case studies you have to take a decision between one or two values, whether you will uphold your own personal integrity or you will uphold the organizational ethics or organizational interest. So in the decision chart, you will basically write whether I'll whistle blow or not. So yes, if I whistle blow, this can lead to a number of things. If I do not whistle blow, this will lead to a number of such things. This diagram is also very effective from the point of view of mentioning keywords. For say, imagine if this diagram has been drawn on the third page of the case study, and so far in the 2 pages I have not been able to write a number of keywords, then I'll write the question here, will I whistle blow or not? Yes, and then I can write a number of keywords here, that I'll blow the whistle so that I am able to uphold my integrity. And here I can write, if I am not blowing the whistle, this is in line with principle of seven sins, wherein I am not indulging in an integrity driven behavior. Okay, so you can use this diagram not only to break the monotony of a case, but also to include further keywords. Now, wherever you can draw a hub and spoke diagram or a flow chart or a hexagon or any other figure, you can draw the mind map as well. Mind maps are a new fad. These are recent year concepts which find mention in books and notes, study materials. So why not draw them in exam as well? So I can use this diagram to draw the stakeholders. I'll write stakeholder here, and then I can present a number of stakeholders. I can use this diagram to also show the dilemmas of the case, maybe for the options as well, and similarly you can use this diagram for section A as well. Now this has limited usage, but a number of questions over the years have come wherein you can use them. For example, hatred leads to hate or love drives love. So hatred is a negative emotion, and hatred would lead to hate, that is a vicious circle. Similarly, in a virtuous circle, love would lead to love. So limited usage, but then if you know that you can draw a vicious circle and virtuous circle in ethics paper, then only you will be able to draw. So now that I have told you, just keep it in mind that even drawing a circle is possible in ethics paper. 10th form is a pie chart, not much used, frankly, to be honest, not much used in ethics paper, but again something unique. So these are not pies as such, these are not presenting any percentages as such, just a presentation of writing a number of stakeholders. Now if I have 4 stakeholders in the case, I'll only draw 2 spokes. There would be 4 sectors, and in 4 sectors I can write the names of the stakeholders. If I have to write say policy measures, there are 5 policy measures, I'll ensure that I have 5 sectors or 6 sectors and so on. So just a unique way to present. Just keep in your mind that you can draw a pie chart as well in ethics paper. And last but not the least is the topic specific diagram. For example, if you have studied Sevottam model for public service delivery, you would know that Sevottam is driven by 3 pillars. So this is a 3 pillar model of Sevottam which can be labeled accordingly. Then there is a prism diagram that is very common between pub-ed students, that the edges of the prism is represented by transparency, accountability, and rule of law, and at the center lies good governance. And lastly, a holistic competence versus professional competence diagram, wherein you can represent the uh, variation or dilemma between skill versus values as four quadrants. So these are the different 11 types of diagrams which can be drawn in ethics paper. I hope you would have got certain different perspective with respect to ethics answer and ethics diagrams, which you can draw not only in section A but also in section B. I hope that you will understand the importance of diagrams with respect to gaining that extra edge over others, which can really make a difference between you clearing mains versus you again writing prelims the next year. Thank you.